This really freaked me out, and I'm a bit shaken from what happened. I went up to my sister's house after work last week. I was really tired and just wanted to sit back and relax. As I was driving up the long twisted stretch of road to her home, she came driving down the road. She stopped and told me she had to go, and to just go inside her house. Well, I got to her house and sat down. It was around 10:30 when I had arrived. I waited for her, but she never came back that night, so I decided to fall asleep on her couch. I began to drift off when I looked outside and it began to downpour. I saw lightning off in the distance. I watched the weather report before I went to work and there was no talk of lightning in the newscast. I began to drift off again when I heard a thundering boom and a bright flash outside the window. I shrugged it off. But a few minutes afterward everything went silent, a dead eerie silence. The silence was so unnerving it felt like something was stabbing my eardrums. It was really unnerving. The silence was broken with another crash of thunder, and then there was a loud wailing. The wailing pierced every pore of my body and shattered the silence like a mirror smashed into just so many pieces. I could hear that it was off in the distance, but with every crash of thunder it was clear it was approaching closer and closer in my direction. After a while the thunder stopped and all was quiet once again, so I began to doze off. My eyelids had just started to drop when I heard the last violent crash of the thunder, and this time the crash was so enormous it shook the house. Accompanying the thunder was the bright light. I know it was not the flash of lightning, because the light would just have flashed and disappeared, but this light just stayed there, lingering just outside the window. I figured it was a light that was turned on from a neighboring house, but I was wrong. A moment later, I heard the wail and the light flew in front of me, up and over my head, and then it disappeared. The entire time I heard the blood-drenched wailing. It was about this time I decided to leave this house. I stepped outside and the house was enshrouded with nothing but pea soup fog, really thick fog. I got into my car and began to tear down the driveway. I saw the light again, but it had more form than it did before. This time it appeared to be a lady with a long flowing robe. She was positioned in the middle of the road and I couldn't stop the car in time, and I plowed right through her. Not over her, not around her, but through her. I heard a voice in the back of my head. It said, and I quote, "It's time, Lawrence, it's time." Then as I was barreling down the long twisted road scared like a toad on lily pad during a lightning storm, I heard the voice again. "And you are already on borrowed time," it said. As soon as I turned off the hill and onto the main road, the eeriness went away and I felt the comforting feelings of safety after that. That same night when my sister returned home, she had a dream. This may or may not have anything to do with what I just said, but it might, so I'm going to add her dream to this story. In her dream she saw a flash of light, so she got up and went to the living room, and she saw me sitting on the couch. She said to me, and I quote again, "Larry, it looked like you were transparent on the couch, as if you were a ghost or something." Then she asked me what time it was, and in the dream I told her it is 3:45. Then she woke up. When she told me about her dream, I did not tell her about the ghost I had seen just hours earlier, so she had no way of knowing about a flash of light and about what had happened. This is really weird. I hope it was a ghost I saw and not a banshee. If it was a banshee, you all just read the witnessing of my death. Damn, excuse my profanity, this has me really scared, because if you ask me what I think, I'd say it was a banshee.
Not a paranormal story, but interesting nonetheless. Eyam, Derbyshire. The villagers who chose to die. The village of Eyam nestles in a hollow, surrounded by hills which stretch upwards onto high moorlands. It is a remote and isolated village of pretty, stone cottages. It has a manor house, a church and a haunted inn. But it also has a sad and poignant past, reminders of which glare down from every cottage, or lie scattered about the gardens and surrounding fields. Next to the parish church stand a line of houses which share the collective name Plague Cottages. In one of these in 1665 there lodged with Mary Cooper, a tailor named George Vickers. In September, he received a parcel of damp cloth from London, which he spread out to dry before the fire. Unbeknown to him, Vickers' action released upon the village plague-carrying fleas whose bite would, within the next 12 months, decimate the small community. The first victim was Vickers himself, who died of a strange fever on the 7th of September, 1665. Within 2 weeks his landlady's young son Edward Cooper had also died, and the villagers braced themselves for the horror which they knew lay ahead. By early October the plague was raging, and under the leadership of their vicar, William Mompesson, the villagers made the brave, and, for many fatal, decision to cut themselves off from the outside world in order to prevent the pestilence from spreading throughout the district. The church was closed. Families buried their dead in their own back gardens or fields. Supplies were left at a well outside the village, now called Mompesson's Well, and which is clearly signposted from the church. Payment was left in hollows in the stone, which were filled with vinegar to purify the tainted currency. By the time the last victim died on November 1, 1666, the outbreak had claimed the lives of 260 residents from a population of 350. William Mompesson's wife, Catherine, had died on August 26, 1666, and her gravestone can still be seen in the churchyard. The village's heroic act of self-sacrifice is still remembered annually at the end of August, when the village holds Wakes Week. This colourful festival consists of well-dressing and commemoration, and culminates in an open-air service, at the end of which the current rector's wife lays a bunch of roses upon the grave of Catherine Mompesson. Strolling through the village of Eyam, it is difficult not to shudder at the constant reminders of that fateful year. Most of the cottages are adorned with small plaques, listing the residents who succumbed, together with the dates of their deaths. At diverse other places, you come unexpectedly upon the victims' graves. A little way along Lydgate, in a shady nook, beneath a tall oak are the weathered tombstones of George and Mary Darby. At the end of a dirt track on the outskirts of the village, a dry stone wall circles the 7 graves of the Riley family, whilst in the middle of a field behind Holland's Farm stands the tomb of Humphrey Merrill. I can think of nowhere else in England where the tragedy of the past is so manifest in the present, and, although the village does not dwell morbidly on those long-ago events, a strange and eerie stillness certainly hangs over it.
If you like stories like these, please support this channel by leaving a comment, liking, subscribing, and/or sharing. Please comment which story you found the most interesting. Thank you for your time today.